Today I want to figure out a way to get this noisy compressor out of my shop, but still be able to use it down here. Hey guys, welcome back to my shop. If you're new here, this is a basement shop. That's a concrete wall. That's a concrete wall. That's a concrete wall. That's a partition wall, but it's not coming down today. Overall dimensions are about 10.5 feet wide and about 24 feet long, so it's very narrow. And this year, one of the things I've been working on off and on is improving my organization and, trying to figure out a way to make the shop bigger without actually making it bigger. And one thing you can do to make your shop functionally bigger, even if you can't make it physically bigger, is to get rid of stuff. And I sort of did that in a recent video where I cut like 3.5 inches off the back of my workbench so I could push it closer to the wall, which gave me more space here. I've purged some stuff. I'm still thinking about getting rid of that scroll saw. Haven't decided yet. I might just move it to deep storage out in the rest of the basement somewhere. And so yeah, that brings us back to today's topic, which is the compressor. The compressor normally is tucked away here at the end of my workbench. It's not that big, it's not even that noisy. So there's not really a huge win on getting it out of the shop. However, I do also like to use it up in my garage. And again, basement shop, that means I have to carry this thing up and down the stairs whenever I want to use it outside or somewhere else, and that's kind of annoying. So let me quick set the stage. The camera's roughly at the 1/3 mark. I've got my table saw here, my workbench here. I got lots of tools at this end. Now on the other end of the basement, I got my bandsaw, I got my planer sort of parked here, and I got lumber storage. But what's important to this is that right up there is my attached garage. So garage is up at ground level, obviously, and I'm below ground. So yeah, I've entertained notions about putting the compressor there and running some piping system and just coming through the joists and then running some air piping here into my basement shop. And then I can have air in the garage and I can have air in the shop. And as a side note, yes, I know that you can get battery operated cordless nail guns these days, but they are still quite expensive, a lot more money than like a comparable air nailer. And I already have the air nailers that I tend to use most often, but I priced it out anyways. But for me to get like a battery operated pinner and maybe a battery operated brad nailer, still north of 500-600 Canadian bucks. So I figure if I can come up with some other solution for $100 or so, I'm still way ahead of the game, and I've had fun playing in the shop, which is really what we want to do here. And as I was looking at different videos, I saw people who were using black pipe, copper pipe, PEX, and so on, and just this one comment on one of the videos just caught my eye where somebody just mentioned, just about running a super long air hose, and that just sort of percolated through my brain. And it's like, stop a second, what do I really need? Here in my small shop, I really only need like maybe one drop. I usually am nailing things either here at my outfeed table or maybe here at the workbench. So I need a hose here in the middle, like one. I don't need a big system. Out in the garage, it's for putting air in the bikes or in the car generally, or if I need it for something else, then I'll just grab the compressor and use it for something else. So again, I need like one drop in the garage. So it's like, I don't need a big system. I just need like a couple of connections. And again, my garage is like right there. It's like 10 inches on the other side of that wall is my garage where I'm thinking of putting the compressor. And so again, it just made me think about, okay, do I really want to build a big system or do I just want to solve my problem? And I just want to solve my problem. So here's my big idea. I've got my compressor with the hose that I generally tend to use. My garage is just on the other side of that wall. And I also happen to have this old spare rubber hose from a previous pancake compressor that I had years ago that I virtually never use, but I have it and there's nothing wrong with it. So I thought, all I need to do is to drill a hole in that wall, and I can run this hose and have a drop, say come down here, put the compressor in the garage. And so all I really need is a way to turn the compressor on and off from here. And my compressor only has one connection on it, so I need a splitter so that I can have one connection that comes here into the shop and one connection for serving the garage. That's all I need. So one quick Amazon order later, and let me show you what we're going to try. So I brought 3 things. First, I bought myself another coil of hose because I thought it might be useful. That's optional. The important part here is I bought a remote control outlet. So I've got a 3-prong outlet here with 2 remote controls, one for down here, one for in the garage. And some compressors don't need this, but my compressor only has 1 outlet, so I had to buy an outlet splitter. So it takes 1 outlet, turns it into 2. I got the receiver. It also has a local button for turning it off and on. Plug the compressor in. Put that in the wall. Turn on the compressor. We got our little remote control. And then if I want to turn it off later, I should be able to just, there we go. This is the second time this has happened. I've been testing it, and it's like, so I'm most of the way there, but I don't think it's perfect because, and I'm not a compressor expert. Anyways, I have a California Air Tool compressor, and the switch is not just an electric switch in here. Let me just put it back in the wall as a normal outlet. When I turn it on, you hear that little hiss. When I'm turning it off, it's not just an electrical connection, there's also some sort of a air pressure sound. So, okay, it's been a couple of minutes where I've been doing some problem solving with the little remote and the compressor. And what I figured out is if I let the compressor run until it is full, you know, where it hits its automatic cutoff and turns itself off, then if I kill the power, I can turn it back on. But if I were to cut it off now when it's in the middle of filling the tank, then it gets into a weird state, and I have to, you know, I would have to go back upstairs and reset it manually. So it's not ideal. So now I can turn it off. I've heard the relay click off, so now there's no power to the tank. And if I turn it back on, I can hear the relay click. There's power to the tank, and it should just cycle itself. And it cycles itself. So the key is to not turn it off while it's filling. I'm not sure if that would apply to other brands or if it's just my weirdo California Air Tools brand switch. So I'm probably going to live with it, but just something to be aware of. So let's go take a look at the garage, and I'll test the remote out there, and I'll test it from down here to make sure it can reach. So here we're on the other side of that wall, and yes, lighting is terrible in my garage. Sorry, I got the door to the house, trash cans, water line on that side. Over here is normally where I'll park a small car. So here is where I think I can tuck the compressor. There's power right there. And right around here, I can pop a hole through the rim joist of the house and get the air line going in from the garage. I got a light from the basement. So now I'm going to run to the basement and trigger it from there. Tell me how it works. So here I am in my shop using my cell phone now because I left the camera running up top. Got the remote here, dead center of the shop, on. Let's go look. So the remote part works at least. From down in the shop, I mean. So this is the hose I'm going to use as the supply line. So this is going to need to fit through the wall. Looks to me like I need to use a 3/4 inch hole. I'm going to first drill a skinny hole, and then I'm going to poke some wire through to make sure I'm in the right spot. Okay, I made some careful measurements and doing a little bit of educated guessing. Okay, the wire is going in, mostly. Feels like I'm hitting... No, it's going clear. All right. Now back to the basement. Let's look where this is coming out the other side. If you can see it on the lens, the copper wire is poking right where I want to be, and that's perfect because right here there's a vent pipe that goes up, and I will just nicely miss that. So I'm going to go back with the big drill. Back in the terrible light of the garage, and I can pull that wire back, and now I'm confident I'm in the right spot. And back to the basement we go. I'm just going to leave the camera running and let's feed that hose up here. All All right, cell phone. Grab this hose and up here. Okay. It's tough to do this with one hand. The wall is too deep and there's still a little bit of fiberglass up there that I'm just having a hard time working around, and you know, this shelves and making it really hard to reach. So give me a minute. Oh, okay. Okay, I actually got it to work. I just got up there with a little flashlight and a little stick, and I was able to poke around until I could see light, and then I was just able to feed the hose through. Let's go up to the garage. Okay. Again, I apologize for the terrible lighting. I've got one spotlight on me here. So I got my hose here, and I still have another hookup. Plug my cord in, turn my compressor on, and I should be able to run it remotely from downstairs. I think I need to put a little clip over it to hold this hose from moving. Okay, so I got my hose here, and I kind of have two choices. I can either run the hose along that wall to drop it by my workbench, or I can run it along that wall and drop it by my outfeed table, assembly table thing. I think I'm going to start with it over there, and I can always rearrange it if I decide I want something different. I have some of these conduit clips, and I'll use that to secure the hose to the ceiling joists. And here at the end, I'm going to put a little bracket where I can hang some more hose, like this. Moment of truth. I can hear it running. So I should have air here in my shop. One more thing out of my shop, and I'll have air in the garage with this new hose that I bought. I think that's about the end of this little weird thing. I hope you learned something that you can maybe use in your own shop. You know, a little bit of problem solving and coming up with a solution, and don't getting wound up in the big project when a little project will do. Between the hose and the splitter and the remote control, this was under $100 Canadian. That's partly because I already had one hose, so I mean, you could add that to it. And with that, I've got air in my attached garage, and in my small basement shop, I've got air here too. And I just heard it click off, so I can just kill power to it now if I want to. I actually don't mind the fact that I can just hear a little rumble over there because of the fact that I need to wait for the cycle to end before I turn it off. And I think that's about it for this one. So as always, thanks for stopping by. Like I said, I hope you learned something, got some ideas that you can try in your own shop, and we'll see you on the next one.